Guys, it's me, Shell360, and I just want to talk about things because this weekend has definitely been event filled, and I just feel the need to discuss these things. There's two very serious things I want to discuss, and then there's one that's not as serious, but it's still a downer nonetheless. So I'm going to start with that and start with 4 Minute. 4 Minute disbanded, and it is a sad, sad thing, but in the reality that we live in when it comes to K-pop, it was bound to happen. I say that because you have another group where you have one member who's kind of the star, the apple of the label's eye, and then the other members are neglected and they decide that they no longer feel like being in this other person's shadow. And it's funny because when 4 Minute first came out, I don't think I even recognized Hyena from the rest of the group. Not that I paid so much attention to 4 Minute, but I think the first time I ever even recognized Hyena as anybody other than a member of 4 Minute was when Bubble Pop came out. But it seems like ever since then, her presence in 4 Minute projects in terms of visually in the MVs has grown bigger and bigger. The other girl's presence has grown smaller and smaller, and there's definitely a bias there. And when you're talking about people who are trying to earn a living, who are trying to pursue their dream, it's disheartening to know that after all of the hard work you've put in, you're still only second best to this other person that both your company and the public have deemed to be the star. And I think it's a fault in K-pop that these management companies don't do a better job of trying to correct this iniquity. Instead of allowing themselves to fall into, well, this is our moneymaker, so we need to do everything else to pimp them out, try to find a way to find other avenues for these other members, and I'm not saying that SM is the best at this, because I feel like I say that a lot and I need to quit that. But I feel like YG, he would have never had this issue with Minji leaving the group if he had found more avenues for promotion for her. I don't think that Gia would have left Miss A if JYP had found more avenues of promotion for her. And I feel like the other girls in 4 Minute wouldn't have left Cube if they had found more avenues of promotion for them. But when you've got CL as your star, and you've got Suzy as your star, and you've got Hyuna as your star, then, what is there left for these others to grab, to hold on to grasp? And Cube, really, they should have tried harder to keep the group together, because Cube's struggling right now. Like, Cube was one of the only of the big six, I guess. I want to say six, yeah, because I know everybody says big three, but I think there's about big six. One of the only of the big Korean entertainment companies that lost money last year. And when you look at their roster, you can kind of see why. They've got B2B, which does okay, but a lot of international fans have kind of fallen off of B2B because they don't really like the ballady tone that they've taken. Beast, their last comeback didn't do that well. Hyungsung left the group, and that whole thing is kind of up in the air. CLC, I don't think they're gaining the traction that Cube thought they would have. Cube is trying to debut a new boy group, which we'll see, but the market's kind of saturated, and they're trying to debut a boy group after Pledis has already done 17, and you already have Up Tension from Top Media, and then Boys 24 is going to be a new show on Mnet. I mean, this is the time when everybody's doing these big groups and everybody's coming out with them, and maybe now's not the best time to do that. Even FNC has got a dance group coming out, I believe. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in that particular market. And maybe, now would be, instead of a time to focus on your new groups, maybe it would be time to, reorganize some things and try to make your older groups last. But, I'm not at Cube. I don't know what's going on with them. I can't say one way or the other. But I do think that, if Cube doesn't hit it big with something this year, I'm not saying everything, but something this year, times are going to be very tough for them. I know they have A-Pink, but A-Pink's actually on A-Cube, which I think is a little bit different. But yeah, they need to find a way to rein everything back in, instead of spreading themselves so thin and kind of abandoning the flock. They need to try to, regroup a bit and try to hold some things together. But it was very sad to hear about 4 Minute breaking up, because, you know, that's a legacy in K-pop that again is lost. You know, 7 years, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's practically a lifetime when it comes, especially when it comes to K-pop. That's a full generation, you know, and to see their transition from kind of a To Anyone copycatish style group, and that's not me insulting them, I'm just saying it's kind of the way it seemed, to them being, you know, a group that definitely has its own signature and its own mark, and for them to end the way that they did, it was just really sad. I remember when the promotions for Hate came out and they had told everybody, you know, if this album doesn't do good, we're probably going to be disbanding. They were totally serious, and I guess people thought, oh, this is a marketing ploy, that's not really going to happen. No, girl, it actually happened. And you know, Hate didn't do all that well, and there's a lot of reasons why it probably didn't do well. One could have been the really awkward, fragile packaging. One could have been the fact that there weren't that many songs on the mini album, and another could be the fact that, you know, the song sounded too much like Crazy. And so people were like, this is too very similar, we don't want that, we want you to do something maybe more like What's Your Name, or maybe even something going further back, like more volume up style. But either way it goes, you know, it is the end of one group's journey, and definitely a pain to their fandom, and it is a loss for all of K-pop, and it makes me sad. I hate having to do videos talking about losing more groups, because it's just always very tragic to see that part of my K-pop history fall by the wayside. But that's the lesser of the serious things that I wanted to talk about. The next thing is the murder of Christina Grimmie. She was a YouTuber, was also on The Voice. She was a singer, and somebody showed up at her meet and greet after a concert, and they shot and killed her. And it's incredibly sad, because, you know, when you think about a meet and greet, as a fan of music, when you think about a meet and greet, that's something that me as a fan, I would just live for. Like, you know, if I had the opportunity to go to a meet and greet for Shiny, or a meet and greet for Rain, or something else, like, I can just imagine how excited I would be to be able to hold their hand for a handshake, or to get a selfie with them, or to get their autograph, and be able to express, you know, how much I care about you, and to take this event that's supposed to be a way for fans to show their love to the artist, and for artists to show their love to the fans, and pervert it and turn it into this senseless tragedy. I mean, as a fan, I'm heartbroken about that, especially because there's a lot of implications that come from that. You know, venues are definitely going to be more secure, or more strict with the security. Meet and greets are probably going to be few and far in between in the future. And now our artists have reasons to be scared of us when they shouldn't have a reason to be scared of us. And, you know, this is not the only reason why artists should be scared. I mean, K-pop idols, they know all about sassing fans, you know, and antis and everything else. And I think most K-pop idols are probably scared of their fans, especially if you're like an EXO or a BTS. You're probably terrified of fans. When somebody yells your name out in public, you probably flinch and wonder if you need to run. And it just sucks, because then there's those of us who want nothing more than to just, you know, give you a handshake or a pat on the back, or give you a thumbs up and just say, you know, thank you for your art. And we can't do that because some asshole decides to do the ugliest thing possible. And, you know, he killed himself, which is probably the best outcome for us all. But it is just terrible. They took away this young lady's life, that he's perverted what should have been a beautiful event into a tragic event, and that we live in a time when so much of the things that we do are reactions to fear, because that's what it's coming to. It's coming to everything we do. The first thing you have to think is, well, what if such and such happens? Well, maybe I shouldn't go there because this is going to happen. Maybe I shouldn't go there because that is going to happen. I know that's definitely what's happening this summer when it comes to the LGBT community. The shooting at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. 50 people were killed, another 53 were injured, and it was at a gay club on Latin night. So you have already a subset of the population that gets a lot of hate: lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, gay, non-binary individuals, and they're at an event for another minority within that community, the Latin element of the LGBTQ community. and somebody goes in and they take what should have been a good time, showing love, partying, camaraderie, and they destroy it. So now I'm sure gay people are afraid to go to the club because they're afraid of somebody walking in there and shooting it up. They're afraid to go to the Pride Fest because they're afraid somebody's going to blow that up. They're afraid to be who they are because people have created an atmosphere of fear. And that's not the world I want to live in, and it shouldn't be the world you want to live in. Even if you have something against homosexual lives, I'm not going to say lifestyles, lives. Even if you have something against that, how far will it be before they're coming for you? Because if they're focused on homosexuals, soon they'll be focused on people of color. They'll be focused on people who are dating without being married. They'll be focused on everything and anything. They'll find an excuse. To make you seem wrong for being a victim. Because that's what it is. And maybe some of you who watch this video, you wouldn't have any experience with, racism or bigotry in your own life. But as a black woman, and actually as somebody who used to work in a gay bar back when they were like 18 years old, I can tell you there's nothing worse in the world than being somebody who is constantly accused of a weakness that is not necessarily a weakness, but is actually a difference. As a black woman, I constantly hear people say, oh, you talk well for a black girl, or, well, you're not like other black people, or, well, that's what black people are like. I hear these comments all the time. When there's a crime that happens on television and a black person is the perpetrator, in the comment section, well, that's what these angry monkeys are like, and that's how black people are. That's not true, because that's not me. And that's not my family, and that's not where I come from. But, I'm reduced to nothing more than a type. I'm no longer human. Same thing with the LGBT community. When I worked at a gay bar when I was 18, I met all walks of life. I met men transitioning into becoming women. I met men who were dating other men, women dating other women. I met all kinds of people in different kind of life situations and different kinds of relationship situations. But past saying this person's transgender, or saying that person's gay or that person's lesbian, I met kids who were homeless because their families couldn't deal. I met older people who had opened their homes to runaways because they didn't believe that any child deserved to be on the street. I met people who were professional computer IT people. I met military people. I met people who worked at McDonald's. I met librarians. I met community leaders. I met makeup artists. I met all assortment of people that were genuine and interesting and funny and had histories and had connections and that were just like me. They weren't just gay. They weren't just lesbian. They weren't just bisexual. They were also somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's parent sometimes, somebody's coworker, somebody's friend. They were people. And the idea that you can take an element of what makes a person be a justification for violence against them, it tears me up inside. It tears me up inside because, like I said, one day that could be you. If one day somebody decided that black people were the cause of all crime in America, then that's me. Well, you know what? You guys know me. You know me through my videos. Would it be justified to eliminate my population because you see me as a source of evil? No, I know you don't agree with that. And that's the kind of rationale that was employed when the Holocaust came through, deciding that a type of person is a source of evil. And it's so easy for people to justify and say, oh, well, it is an act of terrorism, but then again, these are gays. No. Some of the victims that were killed weren't even gay. There was a lady who was there to go for a girls' night with her friends, and they decided to go to this nightclub because they wanted to go to a club where they weren't going to be harassed. Because sometimes going to the straight club is a very scary affair. guys try to press up on you. You have to constantly watch your drink. You know, you can't just get out on the floor and dance because somebody wants to rub up against your ass with their crotch. And that's actually sexual assault, honestly, because like it's uninvited sexual touching. Sometimes you just want to go to a club where you can have a good time, have a drink, chill, be with your friends. And this woman was doing that, and she got killed for trying to relax. She wasn't gay. She just wanted to have some time off of work to let her hair down. And that's why I feel so many different ways about this situation. I feel so many different ways, and I have absolutely no solutions for how to make this better, because the only thing that can make this better is by making us live in a better world. Honest to goodness, that is the only thing that can make this better, is that we need to live in a better world. But since I don't have the answer to that either, all I can say is that my heart is with these families, my heart is with their friends, my heart is with their community, and my heart is with everybody affected, because, I mean, I just think about the fact that, you know, that could be our friends. That could be our friends. How many of us are subscribed to K-pop unboxers who are gay, man? How many of us are? These could be our friends. Could you imagine if our friends went to a club one night and they didn't come home? But, you know, anyway, thank you guys for letting me vent. I have been like on the verge of tears since this morning, because they were finally releasing some more of the names of people, and they were releasing some of the pictures. And as I was looking at these pictures and these names and their stories, it sounded like people in my family, and it sounded like people who were my friends, and it sounded like people that I would know. There were so many Latin names: Sotomayor, Leon, Morales. I grew up in El Paso. These sound like people I went to school with. These sound like people I graduated from high school with. And it hurts, and it hurts. So I feel a way about it. And thank you for listening to me vent and rant, and I hope that you guys have an excellent week. I was supposed to refilm my K-pop sales video over the weekend, but honestly, I just wasn't feeling it. So I hope to get that done this week. I'll probably, if I don't do it tonight, like actually film it, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I'll somehow let you guys know when it's posted again. But yeah, I mean, I'm so kind of torn up about this, and then just in general feeling like I'm so detached from YouTube lately that I'm kind of stuck in a state of inertia. Like I can't move, and I've got things that I want to unbox on my channel. I got Jonghyun's album. It's still in the plastic wrap. And I love SHINee. I love Jonghyun, and it is still in the plastic wrap, because I just feel like all of my enthusiasm has been sucked from me, you know, after having my video blocked, and, you know, having people just randomly dislike things for no reason, and, you know, having all the losses I took in my family in April. Like, it's been a lot that's kept me down. But this weekend, after hearing all the news and everything, I just was like a freaking slug on the sidewalk. You could step on me, because I was just gonna lay there. And I am going to do better, because I'm still here. So I can't stay in the state of inertia. I'm going to get moving again, but it just took a minute to kind of like process everything. But thank you so much for hearing me rant, rave, whatever. And for those who care about my drama stuff at all, I probably should have put this at the very beginning of the video. My next drama is going to be Uncontrollably Fond, which is the Susie Wubin drama. That's going to be my next drama. I look forward to watching it. I have a little bit of bitterness towards Susie because of the whole Miss A thing, but not necessarily towards her. But I mean, this is again proof of why it is that they're not going to have group activities, because she's in the midst of this drama. So I mean, my bitterness is towards the situation more than her in particular. But yeah, I'll be reviewing that drama when it comes out. But until such time, I will talk to you all later. Bye.